would like to introduce my guests, Mike and Deborah Kennedy of Camarillo, California. Thank you for being here with us today. Really glad you're here. So, 49 years of marriage. How did you both meet?
Do you know the movie American Graffiti?
Yes.
And cruising the main street, and that's how we met, cruising the main street of our town in Iowa. And that she was going one way, I was going the other way. We'd always beep and wave. Finally, we ended up going the same way, and there we were.
Wow. 6 months of beeping.
Yeah, after about 6 months, yeah.
It took a little time.
Because I lived on one side of town, she lived on the other, and it always seemed like we were going different directions.
So did you go up to her, did you go up to him?
He pulled up beside me.
Yeah, I was in the passenger seat of a 49 Ford that we just chopped the top off of. And she had 3 kids in her back seat, which turned out to be her nieces and nephews. And I just went up and said, "Hi, my name's Mike, what's yours?" And there we go.
And then the second question was, "Are those your kids?" I was all of 16 and a half years old.
That was put up by a friend in the car. He said, "You know those are her kids." And
I went to school with that friend.
Yeah. So started out with lies from my friends to the truth from her.
So anyway, then he asked if he could have my phone number and if I'd go out. And so he called and came out and met my parents. And
how was that?
Scary. Not her mother, her father. But yeah, it was scary. He was a powerful man in the community, a forceful man, somebody that everybody that I had ever talked to respected, and I didn't know what to think. Didn't know what to ask him, didn't know what to say to him or whatever. But when I got in there and met her mom who was very nice and sweet, and then met her father and found out that he was just as sweet as the mom eventually, and that he's had a humor about him too, that she had built me up to him. But everything was fine. He laid out the ground rules, and we double dated forever, and or took her nieces and nephews with us.
So how long from the time that you met until you proposed, and then from you proposed to when you got married?
Well, we always said that we weren't going to get married till we were 45. But that changed. I guess about a year later or whatever.
A year later, I
might have said,
I think January.
"Hey, you might make a good wife," or something like that.
We got married right after I graduated, which I was, in 1969. Yeah. 2 months later, we got married, and didn't have to or anything, just wanted to. My parents didn't want us to get married so young.
We were hanging around all the time together anyway,
He was 19, I was 18, and they wanted us to wait at least a year. And so they bribed us with a round-the-world trip with the sisters from my Catholic high school. And I know the sisters were very disappointed, but I said no, and so did he. We decided that sometime we would make those trips ourselves, and we did. We kept those promises. Yeah. We did a lot of traveling.
So was it a big wedding?
Huge, biggest in the town has ever seen up to that time. At that time.
Some people in the millennial generation, they also call the boomerang generation, because they stay and they live with their families. But that was a choice that you made 40 years ago with your family. You decided to, after a short time after your ever being married, that you would move back home with your parents.
And there were several reasons. One, they had a huge home, and I was the last of the 5 living children left, and so the home was huge. Second, a week after we were married, his father passed away suddenly of a heart attack. Oh, wow. And kind of left, all he had left was some brothers and sisters. And I think that reality of losing someone suddenly made us think that, my parents were older, because I was the baby and there was this big spread, that we needed to appreciate them while we had them.
So for people that are considering marriage now, with you having 49 years in, what do you think people should know before they decide to tie the knot?
Number one, they should like the person that they're going to marry. I mean, if you don't like them, I mean, it's just like having a best friend from when you're a kid or something like that. You can expect good things out of that person. You can expect bad things out of that person and that, but you still like them, you know, because they're your friend. Well, we're like that too. I mean, in a marriage, if you don't like the person you're with, well, you're going to cast them aside. But if you do like the person you're with, if they're truly your friend, then you'll overlook the bad things and, you know, relish the good things. And that's what we've done.
I think we hashed everything out.
Yeah.
So there weren't any surprises afterwards when we got married about how we felt about things. And we had to, you don't expect to change somebody after you get married. I think that's one of the things I see a lot of people say, well, he's got that habit, or he thinks, well, I'll change him. Well, that's not always going to happen.
Do you think marriage is 50-50?
Nothing's ever equal. It's not like, okay, well, I did all this, so you need to do all that. It's like, for one who feels like at that time, and then if you don't give 110 because you love them and care about them, and they don't give back, you lose something in there. It's more, it becomes then, is it a chore? Is it a, you know, so I think it's more than 50-50. I think each side needs to give more.
And at times, each side does. I mean, without taking advantage of the other, basically. Once you start taking an advantage, you're doomed.
It's life deals you different things at different times, and somebody's in a better position to do something more here because the other one's either busy working here or there, and it just kind of goes back and forth. But if you start, you know, in the moment, start thinking, well, God, I'm doing all this stuff and he's not, or he's doing all this stuff and she's not, then I think it ruins a relationship.
Now, both of you come from big families, and you've had a lot of tragedy because you've had these large families. And you mentioned that you've miscarried before, so you've been through some things together. How do you deal with tragedy and grief in a marriage?
My philosophy is God only gives you what you can handle. And so we handle it.
I think he's right. I think that's probably the best way to say it. One thing I've learned is power of prayer. I believe prayer in everything. I mean, I believe prayer had healed me a couple times in my health issues. And I really believe in the power of prayer. And you still may have your crying moments no matter who you've lost, but they do get wider apart, and they do get more tolerable, and you got to move on with life. You got to move forward. They're gone, and I always feel they're in a better place, and you got to get over the fact. And I still talk to everybody that I've lost. So does he. Have a conversation with them. You pretty well know what they're going to say if you've loved them and known them all that time.
After 49 years of marriage, what do you think you could share with people that would be shocking about being married together 49 years?
I guess maybe sex isn't forever. As often as it's not the thing that holds the marriage together.
No.
If you're attracted physically and you're not mentally in the game and emotionally in the game, then you shouldn't be getting married. I think if you don't have that deeper bond, because there are ups and downs in life, and for many reasons it can go up and down, and romance, as far as the sexual thing, can come and go in different spurts and what you're going through. I mean, I went through breast cancer. Did I feel? No, it was a very hard time, and it was hard for him. I was very sick. I was very weak. If you don't have something bigger and deeper to dig from, you're going to be in trouble.
So in closing, is there anything you want to share? Any advice, any thoughts, any final words for people that might be viewing this that have been in a marriage a long time or considering marriage or just watching it and peeking into your marriage? Anything you want to share with anyone?
I think the biggest thing is know the person you're going to be with.
Yep.
And
Like the person.
and
you're
like
gonna
the
be
person you're going to be with, because you're going to be with them a lot. And don't just base it on the physical. It's got to be everything, mental and all. And you got to get through it and keep humor in your life
with. Yeah.
and God in your life. Those things
Yeah.
help.
Yeah, helps. Definitely helps.
Well, thank you.
Thank
Mike,
you.
Debbie, thank you for,
Thank you.
for sharing your story with us. We really appreciate it and giving your time out. I'm sure a lot of people would be really interested in what you shared.
Thank you.
Thank you.